Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. It's the tail end of our preparation for Game Week 8. It's team news time. All the press conferences have happened and I am joined as ever by Fantasy Football Scout editor Neale to tell us all about what's happening in the press conferences. Neale, welcome. How are you?
Not too bad, Joe. Yeah, I think we've got everybody now.
Yep.
From the list, we had 5 yesterday. We've had 15 today, so I think I've got information on every club.
Good stuff. And we just managed to sneak Aston Villa's one in because it was very late. But I think we've just managed to sneak that in. So there's some key players there. We want to know whether they're fit. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Joe. And also to welcome all of those who joined us early in the live chat. G-Wiz, All Year Swim, Gazman, Martin, Tinker, Rodrev, FPL Rank Chaser, J77 Lag, Hanny, Mark, Thomas, and many more. Thanks so much for joining us. Do remember to press that like button. Lots of you in there, and not many have pressed the like button. I assume you love all this, but you're looking for a love button. But the just press the like button. We like that as well. Okay, let's move on. Let's start off with Luton against Spurs. Lots of interesting Spurs assets, understandably, playing against Luton. Let's go rather boringly for the home side first. Everyone probably doesn't want Luton assets anymore, but they probably may have them from the double game week. What has Rob Edwards been saying ahead of this clash?
Yes, he's fairly recently as well this afternoon, and he said that they've got one new addition to the injury list, and that is actually a lot of people's 4 million defender, and that's Amari Bell. Probably not going to use him now anyway, but he pulled his hamstring on Tuesday against Burnley, and now he's going to be out while they're assessing the extent of that. One out and one in because Ross Bartley's back. He's been in training this week, and they've still got 4 out on top of that: Lokonga, Potts, Clark, and Osho.
Good to see. I noticed that Andros Townsend is having a trial at the club.
He is.
That's it. I was listening to him being interviewed on radio. It was very, very glum since being released by Everton. I think it was last night. He's really struggled to find a club, and he was toying with the third division in the Saudi league, which eventually rejected him. So I hope it goes well because he seems like a nice guy.
He was on trial at Burnley in the summer, and he had a deal agreed with them, and then right at the last moment they pulled the plug on it and signed a few of the youngsters. So he was pretty good at them.
Yeah, they decided to opt for youth and progress them, and they were doing much better than they thought. Fingers crossed it all works out for him there. Meanwhile, with Spurs, now there were a few injury doubts after that very controversial match between Spurs and Liverpool in Game Week 7. Maddison and Son in particular, but there's other news as well. So, what is the latest there?
It's good news on those two, at least. So they're both fine. Son's trained the last 2 days, no problem, according to Postecoglou. And he said Maddison's even better than that. He's trained all week with no sessions missed. So poo-pooed the idea that they've been wrapped in cotton wool.
Okay.
There's no cotton wool here. There's only barbed wire and uncomfortable uniforms. I think they're both all right. Not so good news on Manor Solomon, of course. He's out now for a few months with a knee injury picked up in training. And then Brennan Johnson's not going to be fit for this one either, though he should return after the international break. So on top of that, of course, it's still got Perisic, Sessegnon, Benton, Kerr, and Lo Celso still out as well.
Okay, so we're looking at Richarlison, Son, and
Kulusevski.
Kulusevski up front. Son through the centre, you would imagine. That seemed to work out quite well of late, to put it mildly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we thought we saw Richarlison's name on the team sheet last week that might have, but as you said there, Joe, Richarlison was on the left and then Son through the middle.
Okay, rightio. Well, let's move on to Burnley against Chelsea. Going to be a few Burnley players in people's teams as well after their double game week in Game Week 7 as well. And, of course, people are hopping off in their droves, Chelsea assets. But they were quite good last time out. Let's go with the home side first with Burnley. What was the latest there from Vincent Kompany's lads?
Yeah, one of 4 to do the press conference yesterday. I don't think there's really much to report. He only mentioned that Zaroury was fit, even though he was omitted from the squad on Tuesday. We assume that means Benson, Obafemi, Goodmanson, Ekdal and Redmond are still out, but I think beyond that, we've not got much information.
Righty-o. Okay, and with Chelsea as well. So Jackson is back from his one-match suspension, but Brozier has done rather well in his place. So some tough decisions at Chelsea, I'd imagine.
Yeah, this is one of them. And Pochettino was asked about this. he said he's already taken a decision as to who's going to start out of the two of them, and obviously we'll see tomorrow. He did say that we trust Brozier, that's why we played him against Fulham, and maybe tomorrow. Obviously, you could read that in one of two ways, but I would think he tries to remain with a winning team as much as he can. That is obviously the big headache. Okay. Gusto is still out as well, suspended. Reece James is now suspended. He's actually injury-free, would you believe?
So he's fit, but suspended.
Yeah, at the point of coming back from this hamstring injury, he's getting banned for... it was an FA charge, wasn't it? Something he said, I think, from the sidelines, which is where he's usually to be found. Apart from that, Chilwell, Lavia and Nkunku, Fofana, Bettinelli still out. Chilwell, Pochettino couldn't put a time frame on, although I've seen months speculated on elsewhere. Better news, Mudrik's fine. Caicedo's fine. They're both injured in... Was it Monday? They were playing in Fulham. They're both all right. And then they've had, I think, Chalobah and Badiashile partly training, and Chukwuemeka is even further ahead. He could be in contention for this one.
Okay, let's move on to Everton against Bournemouth. There's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the perennial question, will he be fit? Start with Everton first. Yeah, will Calvert-Lewin be fit?
Well, yeah, he's been fit the past couple of weeks and has scored, of course, looked all right. And Clash was talking about his true fitness in yesterday's press conference. There was nothing injury related, just about his overall stamina levels and match readiness. And he says he's getting better in that regard. So we've actually very little to report on the injury front. There's only Dele Alli and Seamus Coleman who are the longer term ones. Coleman possibly back after the break. And then Andre Gomez, and we haven't heard this phrase for quite a while, but it's a classic Dyche one. Touch and go. Okay. Feature tomorrow. He's been out since August. The calf problem.
And as for Bournemouth as well, quite a few names, but there probably won't be so many in teams. Solanke though, which could be. I assume he's okay.
Yeah, he was a doubt last weekend, wasn't he, for the Arsenal game, wasn't it? But he recovered for that. I think there's been no repercussions as far as I've seen. Adams, now he has had a step back. He was on the cusp of a return from a hamstring problem. I don't think he's actually kicked the ball for Bournemouth yet since his move from Leeds. But he's now had a big setback and he's going to be out for quite some time. Okay. And of course, they've still got Fredericks, Scott, Mepham, Kelly, Marcondes. They're all injured as well.
Rightio. Let's move to Fulham against Sheffield United. This is a sort of tough one to call, but I marginally favour Fulham for this one. But they are the two worst defences currently in the Premier League. What state are Fulham in for this possible relegation clash on their current defensive form?
As you were for Fulham, so Tosin and Adama Traore, they're several weeks away still. And Kenny Tete is still out as well. There's hope he'll be back from a groin problem, but it's a day-to-day assessment going on, and he's not going to be ready for this one, unfortunately.
Okay, and so Sheffield United, they're just as you were, I presume.
Yeah. Possibly even worse, I think. Imagine such a thing because they've got such a long injury list already, and I think even Heckenbottom said yesterday in his presser, "What have we done to deserve it?" Right, must have run over a black cat or something like that. But yeah, they've obviously had Osborne, Lowe, Norrington Davis, Jefferson, Asula, and Baldock, who was the main FPL one out of that lot. They've been injured for a while, and I didn't hear any hint of a return for any of them. On top of that, John Egan, he got injured last week, left the ground on crutches. Now he's been ruled out for a while. We don't know exactly how long that is. Tom Davies, who quite impressed last weekend as well. He's a new concern. On top of that, Heckenbottom said they had one or two and then went on to name check him as a worry. So I think we're into double figures for flags. John Fleck, that's the one bit of positive news. He's been back in training, I think, over the last week. So maybe he's going to be involved sooner rather than later.
Okay, let's move on to Manchester United against Brentford. Just as with Chelsea, people have had enough of Manchester United assets plummeting in price, but a good fixture because Brentford aren't in the best of form. So what was the latest from Ten Hag regarding Manchester United for this?
Well, if you'd read reports as I did earlier in the week that Reguilon was going to be fit for this one, he's not. He's not going to be back in time to face Brentford. Ten Hag confirmed that this afternoon. They've still got Martinez out, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Amad Diallo, Malacia. They're still injured. Sancho, of course, still on the naughty step. Anthony is free to play, so he came back. He was a sub, wasn't he, in midweek in the Champions League. And Ten Hag said today, I think he's ready for a start. So,
Okay.
he said that before about Hoyland and he didn't start. So
Okay.
I think he's more just saying he's in the condition too. But of
Okay.
course, the
But he
selection
could.
still has to be made.
It looks like he'll be in the squad though. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
nevertheless.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Brentford as well. Injuries have hampered them a little this season. I understand Ivan Toney is back in training. Can't play, obviously. But yeah, what's the latest?
Back in goal scoring form as well. Played in a behind closed doors friendly and scored.
Mm-hmm.
Played an hour of that, but as you say there, Joe, he's not going to be in competitive action. I think it's until January the 17th or 18th, so a long way off yet. So he's still suspended. Six still injured as well. Nobody new returning and nobody new as a concern. So Ben Mee's progressing, but he's still out. And then longer term ones: Kevin Schade, Damsgaard, Rico Henry, who's out for the season probably, Josh Da Silva, and Shandon Baptiste. They're all injured.
Okay, as GWiz in the live chat has pointed out, there are over 600 of you watching. Thank you very much. But less than 100 likes, so do press that like button. Follow GWiz's advice there. Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest. I'm wildcarding this week, and somehow I've got a Crystal Palace defender in my team, and I'm probably going to start him. And I've got a Nottingham Forest goalkeeper as well, so that's a wildcard ready to be wasted. What shape are Crystal Palace in for this?
They're in weaker shape than they were last week because Eze is out. He's got a serious hamstring injury. I think the media speculation was that it'd be going to be 6 weeks. Hodgson said it might be around about there, but they're hoping for a little bit sooner. That they're going to have a second scan to see the exact extent, but he's not going to be involved tomorrow. He's also said that Matches Frank is not available. He's the new Brazilian winger signed in the summer. He's back in training, but not doing competitive training, full team training. So he's not going to feature either. They've still got Henderson, Lerma, Ahamada, and Alicia out, I think, as well. Now, there's a chance that Edward could be back.
Okay.
I haven't seen an update on him today. There's still an embargo section to come tonight, but he was pictured in training this week, and it was a relatively minor issue that he had.
Okay.
So I suspect we'll see him this weekend.
And assuming they can't rely on Nathan Ferguson to start for this one. Nottingham Forest.
Forest. They are. No wonder I can't find them because they were yesterday as well. So yes, Cooper has confirmed that Danilo is still out. He's on the grass doing rehab, but still some time away. He also said he doesn't think we'll see Nuno Tavares till after the international break. So you know what that means. He's going to start. Neale Carty's definitely out. He's suspended. And then there's three others who are sort of 50% flags on FPL, and that's just based on Cooper's comments. So Ola Aina, Ryan Yates, and Nicholas Dominguez, new signing. He just said we'll see with regards to the weekend, and left it at that. So you did never know what he's thinking, Cooper. What he's saying is actually true. So yeah.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if they're all fit.
Rightio, they're all fit. They're all playing.
And
yes. Brighton against Liverpool. Now, this is going to be interesting. Both played midweek. Brighton had a slightly tougher match against Marseille, and claiming their first European point ever. And Liverpool had a fairly the usual sort of stroll against a lesser team. But Liverpool will be smarting from that disallowed goal against Spurs last time out, and Brighton will be smarting from the 6-1 loss to Aston Villa. So this says to me, goals in this match. Who can De Zerbi rely on to score and concede?
Yeah, there was 9 goals scored in the two fixtures last season between these two teams. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another hatful this weekend. He can't rely on his stupid hand. We know that, of course. He's out for, I think, more or less a month, were De Zerbi's words. So obviously he's red flagged now. And Cisse was longer term as well. Gross came back though last night, played 90 minutes, I think, against Marseille, so he's fit. Now, De Zerbi didn't actually do a presser. He's the one manager who hasn't done one. And I think these comments are either from just a one-on-one interview he did somewhere with a reporter, because they cropped up on the Argus this morning, the local newspaper. And it was just about who's going to deputise for his stupid hand. So he said Lamptey played really well last night, but they're going to have to assess him because he's obviously quite injury prone, and he played a full game last night. Milner, who I think we thought was going to be out until after the international break, he said, I don't know if we can play with him, so it sounds like he's closer than maybe that. And then they're going to analyse Pascal Gross as well, because again, that was his first game last season. Another one who's played left back. There's not a position he hasn't played. I think he played that once or twice. I think gross, mostly a right back. But so yeah, they've got a tough decision as to who's going to deputise for Stupinan, because they've got a question marks hanging over two or three of them.
Okay, yeah, that's. I mean, I've already filled out my predict De Zerbi's lineup sheet for Twitter, but I think it's a tough one to call. Igor could play.
Yeah,
And deputise for Stupinan if he wants to rest Lamptey for this one. Obviously, Veltman could, but I suspect Veltman will start on the right. Yeah, and as you said, it could be Pascal Gross. Pascal Gross can pretty much play anywhere, and he's reliable. So whoever it is, though, is going to be up against Salah. So this is why it's important for a lot of people, because over a quarter, perhaps even more than a third of teams have Salah in them, and he could be a captaincy shout. So it depends who he's up against. So it is quite important. So it's going to be possibly Lamptey, possibly Igor, possibly Gross. And I think if I was De Zerbi, I'd want my main man against Liverpool's main man. So I think Pascal Gross, weirdly, could get the nod here. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But you never know. Meanwhile, with Liverpool, my God, I don't know it's not even. I don't know who's fit and available. Who's suspended and wrongly suspended, and are they actually suspended? So, what is the latest from Liverpool?
Yes, they've got 2 suspended players and then 3 injured. So the 2 suspended, of course, was red carded last weekend against Spurs in a controversial match. Diogo Jota is out for 1 game, and that's this one, because it was 2 yellow cards. And then Curtis Jones is out for 3, because it was a serious foul player. On top of that, Bajcetic and Thiago are still injured, and as is Cody Gakpo as well. Klopp says there's a good chance he's going to be back after the break.
Okay.
He's already out of his knee brace and walking normally. So pretty positive prognosis on him, but he's still not fit enough to feature this weekend.
Okay, so that's likely to be Diaz, Darwin Núñez, Salah up front.
Yep.
You would imagine.
Definitely.
Okay, that would be key, because once again, a lot of people are wildcarding this week, not just with Salah, but they might be looking at perhaps Darwin Núñez or Diaz. They're safe to score against leaky Brighton. West Ham versus Newcastle. Tough one to call this. 2 absolute form sides at the moment. West Ham setting records in Europe. Newcastle setting their own records for absolutely humbling Paris Saint-Germain. So on form, what shape are West Ham in for this tough to call match?
There are 3 flag players, and there's only really one who's of any note. So Johnson and Cresswell aren't those 2. They're doubts. Cresswell's been injured for a while, but they wouldn't have been trouble in the starting 11 anyway. Antonio would have. He missed out on the game against Freiburg last night. I think it's just adductor tightness, and he's already done some running with the medical team. So they're going to assess him over the next couple of days, see if he's fit enough for Sunday. Suspect he might be. If he isn't, then they've got Jared Bourne to come in as a central striker. He played there last night in the Europa League, and Moyes said he was very happy with the performance. Did a brilliant job, and of course, I think he featured there in pre-season as well. Moyes has previously mentioned him as his possible future being as a central striker. So if Antonio misses out, I think it'll be Bourne and not Ings playing through the middle.
I may look calm, but I'm actually quite excited because I'm wildcarding with Bowen in my team, so that excites me. Newcastle, what shape are they in? There are quite a few injuries, and Anthony Gordon is suspended because he's picked up his 5th yellow. Is that right? Last week.
He has indeed. Yeah, we're not in good shape. He's out just for 1 match. He'll be back in game week 9. Definitely out of this one through injury are Harvey Barnes, Joe Willock, and Sven Botman. So that was rubber stamped today. We thought that was the case, and House confirmed it. So those 3 red flag. Wilson and Joe Linton, they're closer. I've seen Wilson in training this week. I think he was even on the grass ahead of the PSG game on Wednesday. So they're going to be assessed again by Eddie Howe, and hopefully they'll make it. And the other one, I think, Emil Kraft, he's just been back playing for the under-21s. He's been out for a year, so he's not going to feature.
Okay, Wolves against Aston Villa. Once again, lots of interest in them this week. Aston Villa's fixtures return. Wolves' form is surprising everyone. Let's go with the home side first. Any news from the Wolves camp?
Yeah, Wolves back to what they were under Nuno Gomez, and the big giant killers, aren't they? And then just flattering to deceive against easier opposition. So they've got 2 new injuries, both of them called Bueno. One's called Santiago Bueno. He's got a tight hamstring, but he's expected to train. The other one I think is a bit more serious. Hugo Bueno. He's got a knee issue.
Are they related or just coincidence?
No, different nationalities. I think one's Uruguayan and one's Portuguese, I want to say, or maybe Spanish. Wow. But no Bueno they might have on this weekend, on Sunday.
Okay.
They will have Tommy Doyle back. He was a low knee from City, and he couldn't play against his parent club last weekend, but he's now free. But they still have Bellegarde suspended. This is his final match of a 3-game ban.
Okay. And Aston Villa, Diaby, that's good. He's the big news, isn't he? Is he likely to be fit for this?
I suspect he will be. Okay. Emery was kind of non-committal on it. This has just happened, this presser. And he said that, what did he say? Oh yeah, they're both going to work with the team. And if they feel good, they can be playing. He did say it's not 100%, but he's basically confirmed that they're going to train.
Okay.
And it's just that, I mean, they were in action last weekend. It's not like they've been out for a while. They've only missed the Conference League game. So I'd be confident of that without being obviously certain.
But I was just going to say his minutes could be reduced though if he.
They could be, yeah, of course, yeah, they definitely could. 2 players who definitely won't be playing are Jacob Ramsey and Alex Moreno. They both had recurrences of old injuries. It sounds like Ramsey with a foot, Moreno with a hamstring, and Emery's saying they're going to need a bit more time to just take a step back and then get themselves absolutely spot on. So they're out, and of course the long-term ones, Mings and Buendia as well.
Okay, let's move on to the final game, Arsenal against Manchester City. Poor old Saka, he can't get a rest, can he? He was going into this as an injury doubt, but will he actually play, do you think?
Well, last weekend, Arteta said he hadn't trained and there was no pictures of him, and he started. This weekend, Arteta's been a lot more confident about him, saying he's in contention. So maybe he's not going to make this one. You're going to kind of do the opposite of whatever Arteta says. So I'll give you the quote in full, just for context. Arteta said he's in contention. Let's see how he progresses from here to Sunday. Obviously, he had to leave the pitch, but that's never good news. But let's see how he recovers. He then nodded when a reporter asked him about a scan showing no serious injury. So we're reading the body language now. Yeah. And nods. And then he said, in contention, that's it. I'm not a doctor, that's what they told me. So, again, all eyes on Twitter.
It's sad, isn't it? Because something really nasty is going to happen to Saka at some point. Because no human, I mean, he's a pretty good footballer, but no human can withstand this kind of pressure on his body, surely. Anyway.
Yeah, he's just been blooded in every possible game he could be. I mean, last weekend could have been a game to rest against Bournemouth. Comfortable win in the end, and then he's starting again. Apart from that, obviously Timber's out long term. Martinelli, I don't think I've had an update on him, but he's been out since Gameweek 5, so I don't think I've seen him in training since.
Okay.
Thomas Partey is fit though. That's quite a big one for this weekend. He made the squad in midweek in the Champions League, and he's going to be in the squad this weekend.
Okay, so could that mean we go back to the early system whereby Gabriel misses out, White moves to centre back alongside Saliba, and Partey's this sort of inverted right back? Could that happen? Oh, I've lost Neale temporarily. See if he's moving. No, he's completely dumbfounded by this. Neale, if you're watching this, please do try and come back in. Okay. So what I'll say is that's a possibility, but that was also a time when Zinchenko was injured. In Neale's absence, while his stationary face smiles away at me, I would say there is news from Man City as well. Game week 8 has come too soon for John Stones, who is not yet ready to return, unfortunately. What I'm going to do is just move myself out of that second screen there. Okay. Pep reported no injury concerns ahead of Sunday's game against Arsenal. And of course, Rodri is still suspended. So I don't know if Neale was going to return. But luckily, we're at that last. He's just missed out on that last bit of team news there. So what I'll do is I'll just wrap up with the team news roundup. I hopefully managed to get everyone, and I'll just while I'm here, just remove the other me from that box there. Okay. Fit to play. We have got Pascal Gross, which is quite handy. Just move myself. Do bear with me on the video while I sort out my image so that I'm lovely in here. There we go. I'll get myself a little bit ready. There we go. There I am. Okay, Pascal Gross is fit to play. Mudryk is also fit to play. Caicedo is fit to play. Maddison, Son, the Son brothers are fit to play. Ross Barkley back for Luton. Questionable though, Wilson with his hamstring issue. Joe Ellington as well has got fitness issues. He's questionable. Jack Harrison for Everton has got fitness issues. Could be ready. Chukwuemeka from he's got fitness concerns, but he could be in. He's 4.3. So he could be a good asset for those wildcarding and perhaps looking for some kind of 3-4-3 area. Okay. Saka, he lives, he plays. This is a problem with Saka. It's going to be a problem with him at some point. I mean, maybe it will never catch up with him, but if he's got a pulse, he'll be on the pitch. I'd put him as questionable though, because you never know. Edwards, it's got a hamstring issue, but was seen in training, so he could be back. Diaby, fitness issues from last week, but he is working with the team. Which team is that? Could be medical team, could be the actual first team, but nevertheless, it would. I think Neale seemed quite optimistic that he would play there. Kamara as well is questionable for Villa. Then we look at major doubts. Not many here. Milner still come back from injury. Antonio could be ready, but could be replaced by Bowen up front. Which could be of interest to those wildcarding him in, perhaps. Out, Estupinan's got that long-term injury. Botman is out for game week 8, definitely. Gordon is out because he's suspended. Sharda and me are amongst the Brentford injuries. Stones, he's not going to be back in time for game week 8 for Man City. Rodri is, of course, suspended. James is fit, but he's found himself suspended, so he's determined not to get on the pitch. Gakpo's got that knee problem that's going to keep him out game week 8. Jota is, of course, suspended. Solomon has a long-term injury at Spurs. Reguilon, now of Man City, is injured. Bell at Luton's got hamstring problems. He'll be out. Moreno, recurrence of his injury. Same with Jacob Ramsey. Didn't have room to fit him in. And the big news from Crystal Palace is no Eze. Okay, I think that's rounded up everything. Apologies those who wanted to see Neale's lovely face towards the end. That has disappeared from us. I'm not sure why that is, but he'll be back again next week. Luckily, he only missed out on one team reveal there. Okay, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for those that joined us in the live chat. Thanks especially to those that pressed that like button. That is great help. Do check out for more on team news and any sort of embargoed quotes tonight. They'll be on Fantasy Football Scouts X feed and various social media, and also on the site as well. So do check that out again. Take care, everyone. Good luck with your game weeks, and let's hope everyone's fit and ready to go for it. Okay, cheers, thanks, bye.